I'm happy to welcome all of you to the Rotary Club of Foster City. We are the club that, and our secret sauce is you, our members, your teamwork, and your passion to make a difference in our community and in the world. So I'm humbled, I'm inspired to be here today with all of you who exemplify Rotary's motto of service above self. With that, Steve Okamoto, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Please put your hand over your heart, repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Craig Corton will tell us a thought for the day. Thank you.
As in recognition of our guest presenters today, I offer this from Carl Sandburg, the poet. All politicians should have 3 hats, one to throw into the ring, one to talk through, and one to pull rabbits out of if elected. I would also ask that we keep a good thought for Stan and Andrea as they struggle with Hurricane Ian.
Okay.
Rick has just mentioned the eye of the storm is just coming through Sanibel Island. So let's keep a good thought for them. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please be seated. Thank you. I would like to now, if you can all be seated again, thank you very much. Our schedule is pretty tight, so excuse me if I may be rushing through the general things that we have, but let us introduce our guests today, starting with Greg Poole, your table. Would you like to? The guests at your table.
This is Robbie. I'm assuming he's with Evan. Yeah, I've been in the house for a while. And it's white, and Evan's white hat.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you all can just stand up and introduce yourself. Just, yeah. Cam?
We're going to introduce them later, but we can introduce them.
Okay.
If you want me to do this, former mayor and councilwoman who lived in County
Shankar Kente? Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Rachel Lee.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we missed one.
Yes, she's a welcome.
I had to pay for it.
Okay, Tracy's still okay. Sorry.
I'd like to introduce my wife. For those of you who don't know, this is Carolyn Lowe.
Welcome.
We have another guest, Patrick Sullivan, comes Councilmember.
Gary Epstein, my lifestyle, and we have been married 44 years. Wow.
Wishing you a happy wedding anniversary. Yes.
You have a guest, a potential member. She already, her name is Shangfa. You want to stand up?
Yes, she introduced herself. Yes.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Pablo.
I know that.
Okay.
That's it.
Hi, Debbie.
And we have
Yes.
a guest of the club and potential member of East Coast.
Welcome.
I can't hear.
And we have a visiting Rotarian, Steve.
Steve Wright, Club of Pacifica.
So I welcome all of you, non-Rotarians and visiting Rotarians. Thank you very much. It's going to be a really fun, interesting meeting. I'm excited about it. We're just going to try and make it a little bit fast-paced, just to get to the candidates forum soon. We have a bunch of birthdays, wedding anniversaries, and Rotary anniversaries, and I'm really sorry. I'm just going to rush by this as I have been advised to do. So, Peter Lauber and Rich Biederman's wife, Joan, it's their birthdays. Anniversary, as Gary just mentioned, Gary and Violet, 44 years married. Bill and Sue Dickey, 61 years. Mary Lou, happy wedding anniversary, 34 years. Mary Lou and John. And Ira Fruitman, September 21st, wedding anniversary. I don't have the years. You didn't put a year, so it says 122 years. So 36 years. Okay, congratulations very much to all of you. And with that, let's go to the announcements. Steve Wright, our district governor nominee, who's here, and Bob Kaplan. Will you please come up here for the Paul Harris Awards? Thank you.
Israel here? Doing it on Zoom. Okay. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I know we don't have much time, so I'll keep this very short. I'm here on behalf of and with past District Governor Mary Bates, and on behalf of current and past District Rotary Foundation Chair Jane Holbert, past Annual Fund Coordinator Dave Bertini, current Annual Fund Coordinator Terry Chan, and I think I've got everybody. Past President Mary Lou Griffin. Mary Lou, if you would come up here also, please. So I'm here. Keep in mind, the Rotary Foundation runs a little bit behind schedule with all of the awards that they try to get to all of the clubs and individuals to recognize the tremendous work that all of our Rotarians are doing. And then you toss in COVID. So actually I'm here today because Mary is not always at every club meeting that we're at. And I'm thrilled that she's here to recognize your club with a couple of banners from the Rotary year 2020 and 2021. For those of you who only saw her on COVID, Mary was your district governor. So the first banner, yes, there you go. The first banner, and I'll just hand it to Mary, is your club has 100% foundation giving. The second banner is 100% every Rotarian every year. Now, only 4,000 clubs in the entire Rotary world out of 37,000 clubs qualify for the every Rotarian every year. Only 4,600 clubs qualify for the 100% foundation giving. You also have a certificate, there it is, for your generous donations to Polio Plus. And that one I'm just going to give to Shiraz. The beauty of these awards is that they recognize that your club gets it. Nobody is safe from polio until every case is eliminated. You guys know this, you keep donating. The foundation is not kept strong and it doesn't make possible the work we do in the world without every Rotarian every year donating. Your club gets this. These recognitions are for the club. You are to be applauded, and I do so. Now, a club is made up of individuals. And one of your individuals who is attending on Zoom today has qualified and has joined the Paul Harris Society. For our visitors, Paul Harris was the founder of Rotary in 1905. The society recognizes members that promise to donate $1,000 a year to the Rotary Foundation. So a recognition is given to Rail Kemp, who has joined the Paul Harris Society. This plaque and certificate is for Rail. He is also entitled now to wear the chevron that goes with the pins. So my sincere thanks on behalf of Mary, Bob, everybody else I already mentioned, and I'll keep it short. And I thank you and congratulations to this tremendous club.
Thank you very much to everyone for contributing. And I would like to invite our vocational service chair, Teresa, and the student and the teacher to come up here, please.
Thank you, President Shiraz. Today, I am very thrilled to announce we have our first student of the month for this Rotary year, and his name is Emerson Rojas Torres. And we have his counselor here with him today, Mr. Gill. They're both from the high school. Oops, can you guys hear me? San Mateo High School. So we're going to have Mr. Gill say a few words about why he has chosen Emerson.
Can you hear me? Okay, good afternoon. So, all right, so I can pick it, yeah. All right. All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Francisco Gill. I'm one of the school counselors at San Mateo High School. I've been this year's senior class counselor for the class of 2023 since they were freshmen. So I've been with Emerson every year since he started at San Mateo. And I've seen them go through a lot of different transitions, right? In person to distance learning to hybrid and now back to in person. And through it all, Emerson has embodied what it is to be a Bearcat for San Mateo High School. He's been a great student to work with and get to know throughout the last 3.5 years. He is was in our AVID program, which is for first generation college bound students, and also plans on attending CSM next school year. He also is a very active member of our school community. He's played football the last 4 years. This year he's on the varsity team, and he is this year's football team captain. So he's been doing a great job. Teachers say that he's a pleasure to have in class. He's respected by staff members, by the community, his classmates. And so again, really thrilled that you're here today, and thank you very much for the opportunity to allow us to recognize one of our students. So thank you.
I would like to thank my parents because they kept me motivated through everything that I've gone through the last 4 years. And I would like to thank Mr. Gill for nominating me, of course, and sticking with me through the journey of high school these last 4 years and getting me prepared for college.
I'd like to read to you the award that we are presenting to you, Emerson Rojas Torres. Sorry. In appreciation of your efforts in athletics, academically, in the AVID program, and overcoming hardships to become the first person in your family to attend college in 2023. Congratulations.
Teresa, I'd like to say a few words.
Thank you so much. This is one of the great pleasures of Rotary, that we get to honor on a regular basis students of the month and amazing scholars in our community and amazing employees of the month also. So thank you very much. I just have a little club announcement to make. We normally collect our tips for our staff, wait staff at the end of the year. But this, as most of you know, is our last meeting at this venue. So we thought we will just pass the basket around, or just move when you're done from table to table, just move it to the next table. And if you want to put a tip for the staff for the whole year of service, you can just put it in that basket and we'll share it with the whole group. So thank you very much. We have our club champion now, Linda Grant, coming up here to make a short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, President Shiraz. I have been asked to give a quick overview of our Rotary Club to some of our guests and people that are here today from the city. We have many ideas and projects that have come from this facility and other places. Our club was established in 1977 and is a member of Rotary International and part of District 5150, that's San Mateo, San Francisco, and Marin counties. We are extremely proud to say that we have won the district's annual Best Club Award 22 times. Over time, we have met in several locations, but have been at the Crown Plaza for 25 years. Some of our accomplishments in no particular order include tens of thousands of dollars for scholarships to local grade, middle, high school, college, and adult students. Our club, with past District Governor John Grant's expertise, has written 125 matching grants with the Rotary Foundation, totaling $8.5 million. This provides projects that many of our club members have traveled to. And if I could just ask the members who have traveled to club projects and World Community Service projects just to raise your hand, so the group can see how many people have gotten on a plane at their own expense and have traveled. Oh, not except Rick, he drives. Some of our projects include wheelchairs, school, medical supplies, including medicine for the children of Chernobyl during the nuclear accident. Water buffalo, ask me about that later. Water purification systems, vans, ambulances, fire trucks, microcredit, toilets. We have built schools, roads, installed playgrounds, which we have provided and given aid to multiple disasters. Several members participated in Rotary's polio project, providing polio drops to children both in the US and internationally. Some of our members traveled to around the world, and get ready for this. Swaziland, Mozambique, Botswana, Honduras, Peru, Mexico, South Africa, Ecuador, Nigeria, Panama, Brazil, India, Argentina, Ghana, Nigeria, Belarus, Turkey, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Thailand, Namibia, China, Jordan, St. Lucia, Malaysia, Morocco, Trinidad, Tobago, just a few. I am proud to say that for a couple of exceptions, there are not very many, John and I have been to all of those countries and have met and distributed aid and met our matching grant partners. For 25 years, we have taken high school students to Mexico to install playgrounds, paint schools, distribute wheelchairs, provide supplies to schools and orphanages. For the past several years, we have gone to Yurok Nation near Klamath, California to install playgrounds and provide other supplies. Our club has received a generous endowment from one of our past members, Nancy Gordon, the Rose Lady. With these funds, Rotarian volunteers maintain the roses at the Recreation Center and the library and provide many, many scholarships. Our members spent countless hours volunteering for Second Harvest Food Bank, Meals on Wheels, and supporting this community through our cooking efforts and other needs in Foster City. Sadly, as we have mentioned, this will be our last meeting at the Crown Plaza. We wish to thank them for their support. We will be heading to the Recreation Center to continue our efforts and service to each other, to Rotary, and to our beloved Foster City. Thank you all.
Thank you, Linda. That is amazing achievement in the last 25 years. Thank you. With that, we come to the main event that I know all of you have been waiting for. And I hope that we can have a little bit more attention. And, it's disturbing for people on the stage over here when there is so much movement and everybody talks a little bit, but it adds up over here. So it's disturbing for people who are here. So I hope that if we can just maintain a little more silence, that would be good. So with that, let me invite Pam Frisella our past mayor of Foster City, and our fellow Rotarian.
Okay, the first thing I'd like to do is to invite all of our candidates up to the stage and sit behind your sign. On your mark? Okay. Sorry, we're in the middle of chewing, sorry.
We're done with the microphones in here.
Okay, oh, so I'll hold it, okay. Okay. I don't know where Richard is, but, oh, there she is. Okay, first, while she's walking up, I'd like to first of all thank all of you for having the guts to take this on, because I know what it's like, and it's a very difficult thing to do, but you're serving your community, and everybody in this room, I'll speak for everybody, appreciates your efforts. So thank you. And welcome. I think everyone can see by the signs who you are, but if you'd like to just say your name and nothing else, right now.
I'm Evan Adams.
Stacy Jimenez.
Art Kiesel.
You can have your own.
Dave Melchner.
Okay, first of all, the questions were submitted by our members via email to me. Former mayor and former city manager Rick Wyckoff and John Grant and I met and restructured them. Many were similar. And we wanted to make them a little more straightforward and determine which ones to ask. We have chosen the ones that are municipal in nature, which means the subject is actually one that a council member has the power to vote on, leaving out ones that are voted on at a state and national level that our council has virtually no vote on. If you want their opinion on other subjects, please feel free to email them or call them. All of their information is probably on their sign or on the back table. Also, I probably don't need to mention this, however, I will. A few guidelines to the audience and to the candidates. The audience, as Shiraz said, please be respectful of the candidates. I'm asking for no snickering, outbursts, or any undue clapping or carrying on. Be respectful, Rotarians and family members and friends, and respect your fellow human beings, and show your allegiance with your vote. Candidates, please be respectful of the limited time. Linda Grant, right there with, he's got her famous signs, go and stop. You'll have 1 minute to introduce yourself in a second. Because of this format, we just want as quick a question, as quick as the answer as you can do in the 2 minutes. Your introduction will just be 1 minute. I sat in your chair, and I know you might be a little nervous, but the way I'm going to monitor the spirited discussion and sharing of ideas in your vision of Foster City will hopefully make you feel comfortable and safe in this venue. Be aware that I will immediately intervene if I see anyone going for a personal attack. It will not be tolerated. So we'll start with the first question. And we'll just start at the other end. So we'll start with Dave. First question, and you'll all answer the same question. Why do you want to be a city council person, and what makes you think you will be successful?
I want to serve my community, as I've been doing for many years, growing up in this town since about 1979, 1980. And I think I'll do a great job because I spend a lot of time knocking on doors and listening to the people of our lovely little town that we have here.
Okay, great.
Use that.
For me, it's, I think Sacramento has taken advantage of the cities and keep pushing unfunded mandates down on the cities. And with my experience both on the council and with the League of California City, push back because Foster City, as you know, were built out. And the only place we can go is up. And I'm not in favor of that.
You three share this one, and you three share that one. Great.
So I'm an 18-year resident of Foster City and deeply committed to the city. I have 3 girls and our roots run deep. I think that if there's one thing that I would like you to know about me and why I'm running, is I consider myself to be a woman of action. Several years ago, we had a council member who was openly mistreating and mocking people from the dais. And I listened to the community. I heard their frustration, I heard their outrage, and I took action. The recall was difficult, it was wildly successful with 77% of community voting. And what it did is it signaled to our city council that we have to be a city council who values civil discourse and values our community and treats them with respect. And that's something that I'm very much committed to, very much looking forward to pursuing as a city council member.
It has been my honor and privilege to serve as your mayor this year and as a council member since 2018. I'm a 20-year resident of Foster City. My husband and I have enjoyed raising our kids here. And I know that we all enjoy an unparalleled quality of life that we have in Foster City. I'm running for re-election because I have, for the last 4 years, done the work to maintain and preserve the uniqueness and the special things that Foster City brings. And I want to continue the work to maintain and protect Foster City.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thanks for having us here and thanks for hosting this event. Great to see so many familiar faces. Why am I running for city council? So I've served for the last 4 years on the Foster City Planning Commission. And in the Planning Commission, you work from a very strict box. You're not allowed to deviate from that box, and you certainly don't set policy. Foster City's just turned 50 years old, 51 years now. It's time for us to start thinking about the next 50 years of Foster City. Start looking to the future. It's very important to me that we start making these plans because we're in competition with every city around us. We need to do everything we can to facilitate business, facilitate homes, facilitate all of you enjoying your homes and enjoying Foster City. And I want to thank all of you for being here today. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Well, I didn't see Linda have to put up her little sign at all, so you're very good at following directions, so we know that. Okay, the second question, we'll start with Arthur. How would you describe Foster City's structural deficit and what would you do to address it?
Here, you can take this one and they can share that one. Or just choose two.
The structural deficit, we're gonna have to protect our property tax is where we get the majority of our revenue, and we're gonna have to protect that. Whether we're gonna do it with retail, it's not gonna happen in Foster City. It hasn't in the past, and I don't think it ever will. We're a bedroom community. So either raise revenue or you'll lower expenses. And right now, we're understaffed. So right now, I don't have a great solution for, nor does anybody else, talking with the finance people. And then I asked this question. We're in a recession. How long, how deep, we don't know yet.
Thank you. Stacy?
So I agree with Art that we have to protect our staff. They are, I think, the foundation of a lot of our city. And I'm not willing to sacrifice their wages. I'm not willing to sacrifice being able to attract and keep our staff. We have already quite a few vacancies and we're having trouble filling those. So to me, that's an important part of the budget that I want to keep. I think there are ways that we can increase revenue to meet our budget deficit. We can look at the business license tax, possibly looking at raising the cap on that. I think that as a last resort, we can look at maybe looking at small transfers from our general revenue fund or maybe our internal services fund. I don't want to do too much there because again, those funds are why we have such great bond ratings and we want to protect that too. But I do think we are going to have to keep a close eye on some of our liabilities, particularly our unfunded pension liability. That's a source of concern that we must keep an eye on. I think in terms of looking at some of the projects that we have planned for our city, a lot of those are must-dos, so we'll protect those. But there's quite a few would be nice to have. And I think those are things that where we can maybe pull back a little bit and maybe push those off for a couple of years and look at ways to put that money back into our budget and then to get it on. So I think it's, I guess just lastly, I want to say that we have a great staff. We have a really great fiscally conservative staff that's keeping an eye on these things for us, and I think that we'll be okay.
My colleagues and I have approved our budget for fiscal year 2022 and 23. Our results remain strong within the levels of the council directed policy. However, because of the post-pandemic challenges as well as increased labor costs, inflation, and staff turnover, in the outer years, we are looking at a structural deficit. And my experience within the city council and my professional experience as senior vice president of sales payments at US Bank will allow me to continue to look for ways to increase our revenue as well as keep a close eye on our expenses, continue to keep a close eye on our expenses, which we have, to address the structural deficit. Some of the ways that we've already looked into last year was increasing business license tax. We will continue to look at a more methodical way to see if we can have that. That would be one of the ways to increase our revenues. Some of the other ways which are not as big would be monetization opportunities without over commercializing our city. I know we all love our small town feeling, but there are opportunities in monetizing, usage of our lagoon waterways or our world-class kite surfing facility. Those would be some of the ideas. Public-private partnerships is another idea where we can look at increasing the revenue. Economic development is a silver bullet that we've not been able to track them on, unfortunately, so far. So we will continue to have dedicated efforts on economic development that will help increase our revenue. Those are some of the ideas that we think of right now.
So our city, 75% of our budget is people, and half of our budget is public safety. There are extreme concerns in the community. This is probably the number one thing I hear knocking on the doors. Concerns about public safety, concerns about increasing crime. I will never touch public safety. We need to give public safety officials the tools they need, the education and training they need. We have very hefty reserve funds. Those reserve funds are there to get us through more difficult times. Then I want to talk about adult conversations. We need to have an adult conversation with Costco. We need to go back to them and reach out to them and say maybe they should come back to the table with us. Yes, retail is a small part, but they're the largest retailer. You have an opportunity to double anything in your budget, you take it. We need to have adult conversations with the hotel builders, for example. Look where we are right now. This pays COT tax. We need to make sure that the new hotel going in does not become an extended stay hotel that pays less COT tax. And finally, we need to continue conversations in town with our corporate partners. We need to have an adult conversation with our corporate partners about the business license tax. We have to be very careful with that conversation. We don't want to send anyone out of the city because of this. And we want to make sure that we still invite new business partners to the city, regardless of what our corporate, what our business license tax is. And that is all. That's what we should be focusing on. And thank you, Ken, for the question.
I have quite a few concerns, and we should be very cautious and wise about some of our decisions that we make in the next few years, because it's a balancing act right now. We have a healthy reserve but we also have talks about the new rec center. At the same time, we have personnel that takes up a good portion of our income, but we also have vacancies in personnel. And our property tax barely covers, it's still short just our property tax covering our personnel expenses. So we have to be real cautious that we don't do anything that will fix one problem and then create a whole new batch of problems for us. And I've seen that happen in our past from time to time. And with this recession and not knowing what the future forecast is gonna bring our way, I think we just have to be really cautious about all the decisions we make and taking into account where we are with our budget. We got our last 4 million stimulus check from the feds to help with our deficit of 4 million. So we're gonna have another deficit next year, and I don't know what we're gonna do to take care of that. So like I said, we have a lot of little issues that we have to pay close attention to. And just raising the tax here and there might suffice, but we could also lose businesses by doing that. So overall, we just have to work together on the council and make wise decisions and be really conservative with what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a hot topic. It's not the geese. Stacy, we'll start with you. Lucky you. What is your plan to address the 1,900 housing units that Foster City is required to put into place by our state? What locations within Foster City do you see as viable places to put these 1,900 units?
The elephant in the room. We know that we need housing. The state has said that we have this number. It feels a little bit like a one size fits all. And in Foster City, it just doesn't fit. We have limited ingress and egress. So that number feels like a big number to a lot of us. But I think like anything, we can be creative. My concern is that we retain local control. The state has said if we don't meet these numbers, we could lose any ability to make any decisions about housing. And I want to make sure that we as a city retain local control. So that's number one. Two, I think that there are ways to add housing that make sense for the Foster City. And any project that comes my way in terms of housing, I want to make sure that it makes sense for Foster City. It keeps that cultural feel that we have of our city as a family-friendly community. But I think that it's going to take some creative looking at spaces and looking at partnerships. I would love to see some additional workforce housing. Jefferson Unified just finished 122 units, I believe, just north of us for their teachers and teacher staff. And they're saving 5 of those units to help recruit new teachers. So that's an incredible way to bring in the kind of housing that is not only going to make a difference for our residents, but will make a difference in the lives of others, and that's important to me. I think that we can look at, I had a conversation yesterday with someone from Mid-Penn, and I asked her just directly, what kind of housing would you recommend for Foster City? How do we meet these numbers? And she had a great idea, and she said, you know, what we really need is senior housing, low income senior housing. We have an aging population. They're going to want to downsize. We have a perfect place in Osh that would be a good space for that. And that's sort of those ideas that I have. So partnerships, creative thinking, let's figure out what the people want.
So in July, the Planning Council has actually submitted our housing element. And we have had several discussions, several public discussions, Planning Commission and Council, and we had several conversations with our community on it. So there are 2 aspects to this. So we want to abide by the state law. So as a city, we provide the locations and the sites that could meet the RENA requirements. So we have submitted that, and that underwent a lot of community engagement. We had an interactive map that was made available to the community so they can actually put pins on where they see the potential housing could be. Majority of what we have submitted, to directly answer the question, is our redevelopment, because we are built out. So the complexes that we have, what are the redevelopment opportunities and how can we get those units? But I have to say that that was a unanimous vote and a lot of deliberation and a lot of discussion and community engagement, including community dialogue series, workshops underwent to get to that. An important responsibility of an elected, which I have taken head on, is to educate the community members on the importance of housing, but at the same time, don't have that conversation in isolation. Housing conversation cannot happen without having appropriate funds to build and continue to repair our infrastructure, to continue to maintain quality of our schools, to prevent overcrowding in schools, to make sure that we have adequate water supply, and to really hear from anything and every concern of our residents how housing will impact them. And we have done that, and we will continue to have those conversations in addition to other creative ideas. Thank you.
So our RENA cycle is something that we have to do every 8 years for the state. And what it is we're planning on where to put the housing. As has been stated, we have submitted our draft housing element to the state. In about 2 weeks, staff is getting a report back on that. And then about a week, I believe, or 2 weeks after the election, we're going to have another meeting on our housing element. That has to be submitted by December 31st. So this is something that we have had a robust community discussion on, something I always support. And we've discussed where these sites are going to be. And so we have a plan now for these 1,800 units in the city. Now, when this comes back, where will we have that discussion about if the state is not happy with our plan? Well, that will be more community involvement, more discussion. But it's important that we do this and do this in a very timely manner. Because as was stated, we will risk losing total local control, all the way down to the permit to get a water heater in your house if you don't do this. So this is a legal requirement. You do your taxes, you plan for this. So that is our plan on where to put the housing. Now, in the future, how will we deal with this? Foster City built 5 times the amount of market rate housing that we were required to in the last cycle. We're not required to do that again. We can plan better. We can use options such as requiring local workforce housing. That was a great return on investment for the city. $7 million for a $20 million investment that also generates revenue for the city. Fantastic. Let's get more of that going. Let's take the money that we have in our investment account and use it for asset producing properties, just like that. Let's start thinking creatively on this subject. But we have to do it, we have to plan for it, and we have to maintain local control, because that is the most important thing we can do. Thank you.
Okay, Dave? No, you're fourth.
Sorry. I'm a builder, for those of you who don't know, but housing and development sounds awesome, but I think we need to be a little cautious here. I do talk to quite a few residents. I'm the ex-paper route boy, so I knock on about 180 to 220 doors a night, okay? When I go out hustling and talking for support from the residents. A lot of the residents are concerned about housing, and these are a lot of residents who used to support housing, and now they're cautious about it because of our traffic, our congestion, our infrastructure. We have right now about 4 million gallons of water that we use a day right now in drought season, okay? We use a little bit less in the winter times, but in the past few summers, we've even gone up to about 4.3 to 4.5 million gallons a day of water usage. And our San Francisco PUC guarantees us 5.9 million gallons of water per day. So we need to think about what we're doing here, because we go build houses, we neglect school, high school, where the these kids gonna go to high school? How's traffic and congestion gonna be? And what's gonna happen if Bosco can't negotiate with the SFPUC to give us more water, like 6.5 or 7.5 million gallons? We need to be very careful about the decisions we make, like I said earlier. Thank you.
Yeah, in my opening, I talked about housing has been my real hot button. Where would we put it now? Well, by the time we would even be elected and sitting on the council, the decision as to where that, and that report goes to the plan, this general plan would have already been submitted to Sacramento. My concern is not this drainage cycle, but the next one. If they're going to try and get 4,300 more people in Foster City, what's going to happen in the next cycle? And I'm concerned for our citizens down the road. And if we don't really voice our opinions to the state legislators, they're going to keep on coming. There's just a plethora of bills going on up in Sacramento right now with housing. And for every single thing, and I mean, if you think one, and there was a bill that went through, started in the legislature, was talking about getting rid of public golf courses. It got killed, but would I suspect that it's going to resurrect and become again, and they're going to try it again? Yes, I do. They're going to try everything they can. I talked about parks. If the state can rezone single-family residence and get rid of R1, 7 million houses in single-family residence in the state of California. They can do that. They can certainly change any of the zoning that they want. So I'm concerned today, but I'm more concerned with tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, very good. All right. This is very simple. We just decided to keep this really simple. What would you, I'm sorry, how would you address the Canada goose population? And I was reminded last night from Rick Wyckoff, they're not Canadian geese. They are not Canadian geese. We're not really sure if they're really not, but they're Canada geese, and they were named after a guy in Maine named Mr. Canada. And now I really think this is true because Rick knows everything. So anyway, it is, we have this problem. So what would you do, Richa, to address, I know you're already addressing it, but what would you continue to do?
Yes. So this is a very difficult question, as we have seen in the last few months, and it has put Foster City on New York Times. But it's a relatively simpler question at this time, given in the last council meeting, we actually provided a very comprehensive update on our next steps and how we are going to solve for it. There's no solution yet. We have, this current council is the only council, as far as I know, that has requested depredation permits. That doesn't mean that we are out to eradicate Canada geese. We want to be able to manage and mitigate the population. The population, for obvious reasons, has multiplied in recent years. We now have 323 or so Canada geese in Foster City. In the region, I think 1,100 overall. It is a regional problem, and we have tried to solve it regionally as well. We have tried non-lethal measures as well. One of the requirements to get a depredation permit is checking the boxes on all those things. So the agency that has given us depredation permit has checked whether we have tried non-lethal measures, whether this is a health hazard, whether we are committed to mitigating the population and not eradicating it. And that's how we got it. So the next steps, as updated by our city manager, is to wait until the next molting season, which is sometime early next year, way past the elections. But that was not the reason, because we missed the window of the molting season, so we'll continue to try non-lethal measures include, I don't know if you've seen the drone, which, by the way, my personal opinion on that, it's not very useful. So we'll continue to try adding more aggressively and hope and landscaping changes, and hopefully by next year, we'll see a difference. So we'll not have to take drastic measures.
I agree, $30,000 robot dogs isn't gonna fix the problem. Anyway, so when it comes to the geese, we have to find harmony, right? Foster City is an artificial environment, and our artificial environment doesn't have predators for the geese. Okay, so we need to figure out what in our environment is drawing so many geese here. Frankly, they are being drawn here because places like Redwood City are building out, and they're building into the bay, and they're taking away their natural habitat. Regionally, we need to interact with our county supervisors and insist that our county supervisors have a plan regionally for these geese. Secondly, we need to look at our own environment. What have we done to bring them here? A lot of grass, right? Look under any power line. Look, they're the largest things in our city, the power lines. And there are puddles and ponds of water under them full of grass. And the geese love that. We need to make it a little more comfortable for them. Look at the waterfronts around our different apartment complexes. We have a requirement from the state to do objective design standards. We haven't done it yet. Every other city has done it. I think our objective design standards need to have a little bit more goose unfriendly design. And finally, we need to address the water quality issues that the claim is that the geese are a problem. We need to do the circulation study that's been recommended. We need to move up the dredging, and we need to encourage proper maintenance, proper cleaning, and proper use of our beaches. I'm the president of the Foster City Historical Society with Marcia here, and we came across a photo of the beaches in Foster City from the 1960s, and there were sailboats there, and there were people there, and they were using it. Well, guess what happens to beaches when people are there? Geese don't show up. So we need to figure out a way to get our beaches reactivated and get people using it again. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's you.
I'm glad I'm not a geese. The geese situation is a very touchy and sensitive situation. And I hear both sides of our residents on this. For me, myself, it doesn't affect my lifestyle whether we have the geese here or not, because I work so much and I'm not always here like most of you are, but we have to consider carefully what our residents want. I definitely don't think any way of eradicating this other than non-lethal use is a for sure. Okay, and that's not always the best way to just resolve a problem, is to go that route. So non-lethal for sure, but I think most important of all is there should be a collaboration of city leaders and county leaders sitting down at the table to resolve this, because the geese is a problem in more than just our city. So I think we need more of a central solution to this, because they fly and they could be there today and be there tomorrow. I think the county should put more effort and time into this to help the surrounding neighboring cities to come up with a viable solution and put this at rest. The geese are beautiful creatures, but if they are really truly a nuisance, we have to figure out the best way and the most practical way to remedy the problem without creating new problems. Thank you.
I'm not gonna come and say to the city, I've got a plan, or I've got a solution. I wanna find out what has been done so far. But to me, within the city, now for me, I'm a golfer. We've got Foster City, but I go down to Mountain View, I go to Palo Alto, I go to Moffett Field. Every one of them has the same geese problem. And if some leave here, they're gonna go down further south, Mountain View, breed down there and then come back. Let's face it, they've got wings and we don't. But I'd also like to make sure that it's a collaborative effort. And I think we need to, it's got to be a more regional solution to solving this problem. I'd like to hear what Fish and Game has to say about it. What else can I say? Am I for killing geese? No. In fact, I gave up my shotgun many years ago. So.
So we know we have a problem. The geese is estimated that the population will double in the next few years if we do nothing. I'm a fierce mama bear. I love my kids and I moved here because of my kids. I wanted to give them the best possible life that they could have here. My kids now eat their lunch about it standing up because of the goose issues. Our Foster City School kindergartners cannot play on the grass because of the geese issue. So we have to do something. I don't think anyone is for killing geese, but I think that we've spent years trying absolutely everything else. And we have a little bit of a window of time where we can try some new things. And I know that there's some new technologies and things that staff are looking into. So I absolutely support that. But ultimately, I think that it's going to come down to if the staff does recommend that we follow through with the depredation permit, then I will support what staff does as long as I'm assured that they really have done their due diligence and done everything else they can.
Thank you. FYI, I do have a gun. Okay, so this is a, listen closely. What is your understanding of the roles of a city council member and city manager in a council/manager city form of government, which Foster City has? We'll start with Evan.
Great question. In my mind, the city council is the board of directors for the city. And your city manager is the CEO. You should listen to your CEO, you should advise your CEO, and then you should empower your CEO to work with his staff or her staff to do what they need to do. That's the basics. That's the basics. It is not our job, if so elected, is to stand in front of the city manager and take the political flak and listen to our community when there is a discussion to be had, and then provide input and provide direction to the city manager when he needs it. Beyond that, we need to do everything we can to maintain our relationships with our city managers. We've had too recently. Why? Great question. One I'm not going to go into here today. We're a friendly environment. But our city, we need to hold on to our city managers. We need to hold on to them for a period of time so that they can get their feet on the ground, so they can get their fingers into the problem. And then we can move on and start working on the base problems at our staff level in Foster City. You've heard we have staff issues. Well, it's hard to get people to come to a city when there's not a stable city management system in place. We need, planning department needs people. We have 4 empty vacancies. And look, the questions on housing, the questions on how to deal with the lagoon, the questions on how to deal with objective design standards. So things we're not perhaps dealing with adequately without the staff, and we're not going to get that staff until we prove to potential employees that we are a stable, set city and that our city manager is there to protect the staff. And as was said very clearly to all of us at our candidate introduction from the city manager, the only time he will really stand up and object to the city council is when we come after staff. So we need to make absolutely clear that we support the staff and we support our city manager. Thank you.
Okay. Dave.
I think it's really important that we work together as a team. Okay, we take the titles, sometimes we have to put the titles aside until it's time to make the decision. Until the time comes to make any decisions and then have staff carry out and execute them, we have to work as a team. And that includes the residents. You know, I want the residents to be more engaged and more involved. They tell me that they will be more engaged and involved. So that's telling me from their mouth that they feel they haven't been for the most part. And our job should be to work with staff, have open dialogue. The staff should feel very comfortable speaking. They should not ever feel like they have to be muffled or remain quiet. Everything should be put out on the table. so that we can collect all the information, not be in a situation where something was not provided. It could be a very critical piece of information if a staff doesn't talk or something's not brought forward on the table. And to do that, we have to work as a team. We need to rely on the staff to provide us information. We have to get thoughts and direction from the residents, what they want to see happen in their city. And then at the end of the day, we can make a final decision and work together as a team on the council to make that decision that's in the best interest of all the residents in our city.
Yeah, the city council, when you're sitting on the city council, you are a member of a single body. And it takes 3 votes to get anything accomplished. The city manager, as I pointed out, acts as the chief operator, or CEO, executive officer of the organization. The city council should not micromanage staff. The city manager is the one that is directs staff through policies set by the city council. But the city council, on the other hand, would expect from the city manager problems or issues. Excuse me. The city manager should bring issues that he hears from the different departments, Park and Rec, Public Works, that we, because we're part-timers as city council members, are not in tune with. So those are the issues that come back up to us to set policy. Once a year, the staff and the city council goes through a retreat to talk about what the vision is for the coming year.
So these guys have kind of said everything I was going to say. So I'm just going to say this. I fought really hard a couple years ago because we had dysfunction within our city council and within staff and the relationships with the city manager. And that the end result is that citizens were not served. We were not being taken care of. We were not being heard. And I fought to change that. I've worked really hard since then to understand the various interrelationships with staff, with the city manager. It's been great. I'm the vice chair of the Parks and Recreation Committee currently, and that's given me an additional view into City Hall and the different relationships. I am a bossy older sister, and my dad growing up used to always say, stay in your lane. Let me do my job, you do yours, because I was constantly trying to tell my little siblings what to do. And I think that's true with our city staff, right? We all have our staff, they have their jobs, they have their departments, they have their areas of expertise, and I will respect that. Our city manager has his job to do in leading the staff and directing it and taking direction and from the city council. But I see my job as a city council member as one who is in a community. I want to know what you want. I want to have those communications with you, and I want to have those conversations, but it has to go both ways. I need to be bringing to you the information that I'm getting from staff. I need to be telling you what I'm learning from staff. It drives me crazy when city council members will say, well, I have all the information and I know more than the city does. Well, then you're not doing your job. You need to be out in the community. I want to hear from you. We have an incredibly intelligent population, residents, highly intelligent, highly educated. And a lot of times you have answers, you have suggestions, you have ideas that maybe our staff hasn't considered. So that's where it's important for us to be in the community, having coffees, and then we bring that back. The staff takes the direction, they do the work, and the city manager kind of makes it all happen.
So there are 2 main responsibilities of a city council member. One is maintaining a balanced budget, and the second is having city management. So the council, to answer the question directly, council's responsibilities are to set the policies, and the city manager's responsibility is to execute working with the staff. So they work as a team. They have to build a very strong relationship, and in the last couple of years, we probably have asked this question during the interview process. of our potential candidates, the clear understanding of their roles and responsibilities. We have had a lot of changes in our staff, a lot of turnover, but as a council together, we have learned a lot. We have a number of constructive learnings that we have applied, and we are very fortunate to have a good, experienced city manager who understands the role in its entirety and council members as well. So the council has the responsibility of not only coming up with policy direction, but also having the voice of the community, understanding at the local level what community members are looking for, and they use that as an input to guide the policy directions. And city manager should have and has had empowerment to execute in whichever format they like. So city council does not direct how to accomplish a certain things. They stay at a level of setting the policy. What are we talking about? What is it that is important to Foster City? What is our vision? What is our mission? And then how city manager chooses to execute that. They are empowered to do that, working with their staff and building their department heads and the executive team.
Oh, do we start?
I started.
I knew that. I knew that, I just
Yeah,
forgot.
no, sorry.
Okay, well, I think we can give you all 1 minute or so. Because we have about 7 minutes left, I think, to go. I'm sorry? I thought she said 1:25.
1:25. Oh, sorry. 1 minute.
Yeah, so 1 minute to just say a closing statement and why we should vote for you, David.
You should vote for me because I'll do a good job representing our city. I listen to the people. I don't always agree with everything I hear, but my job is to listen and to do my best to be very impartial and non-biased and just make a decision and move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, my major concern that I'm talking about is housing, which I highlighted earlier, the structural deficit, making sure we protect our recreational amenities. I'm concerned that we're losing local control. The state is usurping a lot of the power and authority that the cities were given. I'm concerned with what was going to happen with the levy, not because of what we're doing with it, but what if a regional solution comes about. What's going to, with a minute?
We give you a little, go ahead, finish your.
Use my time. Use some of my time.
Dave just gave him 15 seconds.
My concern obviously was with staff as well, because we've had in 30 some odd years, 35 years maybe, we had 2 city managers. And in the last 6, we've had 6 different people sitting in that chair. That doesn't really bode well for staff. And then we have a staffing problem, and that's acquiring staff for whatever reasons. And I'm not sure all the reasons, but I surely would want to investigate it.
One minute, okay, here I go. So I'm committed to having a council that is prioritizes open, honest, transparent leadership. I'm committed to coming every day prepared and ready to do the work. I spent the last 4 years working towards this point. I've been to every council meeting, I've been to meetings in other cities, I've done the work. And I'm committed to making sure that I represent your interests. So that means being out in the community, hearing what you have to say, sharing what I'm learning, and working together to create a better place for Foster City.
As your representative and mayor, I've utilized a methodical, inclusive, and results-oriented approach. I have worked to ensure a positive and collaborative tone between council members and with the community and delivered real results. City operations have been better than they were 4 years ago. I'm honored to have the endorsement of current and former city leaders, and to quote Congresswoman Jackie Spear, who has endorsed me, Richa cares deeply about Foster City and works hard to listen respectfully to all points of view. She is a fiscally responsible leader. In the words of San Mateo Daily Journal, Avasti has met the city's needs for the past 4 years, whether it be working with the rest of the council to provide small business assistance or keeping the levy project on track. She has been there to ensure the city's needs come first. I humbly ask for your vote on November 8th so I can continue to work on behalf. Together we'll face the challenges, realize the opportunities, and protect our quality of place. Thank you.
So thank you for letting me be here today. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything that you do in Rotary. For me, think about when many of you bought your homes in Foster City and you drove into town and you saw a billboard that said the Isle of Blue Lagoons, right? That was something that we focused on as a community. And the focus of my campaign is reactivating that dream, that idea. That was 50 years ago. Now it's time to start planning for the next 50 years. And I hope from what you've heard from me today that you see some of the things that will set us on the right path. And in order to do those, I absolutely will embrace open, full, and transparent communication with our community. In the council chambers and in public forums. It's extremely important. I want to thank all of you for your time today and ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
Okay, I think you've all done a really, really good job. And I want to thank my fellow Rotarians and all the guests out here. I hope you've not only learned a lot about our candidates, but a lot about Rotary and what we do. And maybe some of y'all might want to come back to another meeting and join our Rotary Club. We won't be here, we'll be in the rec center. But anyway, the most important thing we have as citizens of these United States is our right to vote. And please, just vote. And we have these lawn signs. You may want to take one of those. I hope they've convinced somebody to vote for them today. And I'm sure they have more signs that they'd be happy to give you. We only let them bring one in because we didn't want to fight. But my last quote is from Ruth Ginsburg. Thank you. Thanks, Charlie. Okay, because I love her. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And I think that's what I think we all want from our city council. Thank you.
She did a great job.
Okay, so thank you to all the candidates. We learned a lot today, and Pam took away part of my speech, so it's okay. And thank you to everyone who attended. I welcome all of you, whether it's the candidates or the supporters of the candidates, to come again to any of our Rotary meetings. And also, if you're civic-minded, community-minded, which you are, volunteer. You're welcome to volunteer at any of our community events also. So I extend that invitation to each and every one of you. With that, we pass this basket around for our staff tips. And I want to say all of you have been very generous. Mike, would you please step here? Mike has been with us, our amazing server, listening to all our requests. Thank you very much for your patience. Oh, don't be so all of you have been so generous. We have raised $525. For all the staff, and thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Come on, say something.
I'll keep it, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like Rick Wyckoff, John Grant, Linda Grant, Diana, if you can please stand up. There is one more person that I am missing. Pam Frisella, sorry. Yes, sorry. So Thank you to all of you. They worked really hard, not only just collecting the questions, sifting through it, planning this whole thing, planning everything with the crown. So thank you so much to all of you for doing this. Many, many hours of work, which you don't see behind the scenes, but thank you. Okay, so next week we are dark because of Yom Kippur. So just so you all know, we will see you all on October 12th at the Rec Center. Henceforth, meetings will be there. And we will still have our Zoom going on, hopefully. The speaker at that meeting is Tom Hewning, who is going to be discussing his book, The Quintessential Good Samaritan. And now I want to thank our greeter, Stephanie, who's greeted and left. No goodbyes. Just okay. And our pledge, Steve Okamoto, thought of the day, Craig. Thank you very much. And for the tech table, Curtis and Mark Watson, thank you. Larry Kavanoki, our treasurer, and Sergeant at Arms Ed Groy and Jack Petrowski. Another big thank you, actually, before this last one, is to Jamie and Ed Groy, because they are going to stay back and they're going to move all this equipment. If anyone wants to do weightlifting, you can help them and move it to the shed. So thank you to each and every one of you once again from the bottom of my heart. It's good to see all of you. It's good to see all of you involved in the community. And thank you to each of you for your wonderful answers. I learned a lot. So thank you. With that, meeting is adjourned.